What's up, guys, and welcome back to How to Rip. My name is Kale Brock, and today I'm going to go through a big handful of beginner mistakes using real life examples from coaching sessions that I've had back in Sydney. I'm currently on the road at the moment with my new film, the longevity film. That's why you're seeing this new format. To be honest, this is probably something that I'll keep doing, this sort of format, because I'm going to reserve those sort of in-depth dissections of different skills for my other tutorial channel at Kale's Broccoli. It's important to point out that there are so many common mistakes that people make as beginners, and they center very much around what I'm going to cover today. So let's jump into it now. So this first one is really, as you may notice, to do with paddling, but also taking off too early. We see here that the surfer has gone to pop up a little bit too soon because presumably they are a little bit intimidated by the steepness of the wave, for instance. They want to get up early and sort of get out of harm's way. What should happen is, in this circumstance, the surfer should actually wait until they are moving, scooting along the face of the wave, and really feel that uplift of the board before actually popping up. This makes sure that you actually get out in front of the white water rather than being stuck in the lip as you fall over. It's a pretty serious thing to be caught in the lip as you take off, and I think it's something that naturally occurs as the waves get bigger because we just get more intimidated. I do this as well. So paradoxically, it's actually more important for us to paddle harder into waves that scare us than actually take it more easy, take it a step back, because as soon as you start to hesitate, it's much more dangerous if you do eventually fall off. We don't want to take off too early. A lot of surfers do this, including myself sometimes. It's important to make sure we are on the wave in the best position possible before popping up. And that generally is just in front of the falling lip or the white water. Anytime we're taking off, we generally want to stay away from any sort of white water. So the more we can do that, the better off we'll be. Okay, so we see sort of here just a general mispositioning, if that's even a word, of the takeoff. I think because of the lack of paddling prowess, this is really important. The surfer has put themselves under the lip of the wave to ensure that they catch it, when what I would rather see is them scooting in with the falling lip of the wave instead. This is only going to make sure that they have enough speed and space to be able to take off. Under the lip is always going to be a lot harder to take off. And I think this is a general sort of theme of this surfer session, is that the paddling is an issue. As you can see here by this sort of body position, there's not enough integrity in the body for the paddling to be effective. And when we look at paddling, it's not just endurance of the arms. We know this because people who come in from other sports outside of surfing, who come into surfing and try and paddle, they get tired really quickly and fatigued. Whereas surfing, the paddling is very specific. It requires a good activation of the back muscles and also of the core and of the glutes, as well, as we create that the erect banana position, to better enable that streamlining effect of the body to move through the water. When we see that, that's when we start to see some really fast and effective paddling that is not being exemplified just here. Something that might help if you are on a longer board. Some people find it easier to actually lift their legs up whilst they're paddling, not only from the knee down. So you sort of fold your, how can I do this? You can sort of fold your legs up like that, and that actually will help you shorten your lever so that your body has less work to do to maintain that straight plank position. It's a lot harder to do this on short boards because you don't have enough buoyancy, but on longer boards like this, it's definitely sometimes helpful to fold those knees up behind you to increase the lift and the penetration through the water. This paddling is incredibly important because it enables you to be in control of the session and really determine where you are and what happens in the session. There's this principle of not letting the ocean control you, but rather you control the ocean. And you're never going to control the entire ocean, but you're able to position yourself more intelligently without letting, I suppose, the waves dictate your position. That's going to be a better situation to increase the chances of you catching waves. And then the more waves you catch, the faster your progression is going to be. That's what it comes down to. So, takeaway, make sure your paddling is as effective as possible. My homework for this particular surfer was to actually spend more time in some of the ocean pools without any waves and just work on that paddling position, that banana position that I've spoken about before in other videos, where we work on that musculature that's involved in the middle back and really opening up the shoulders so that we have a nice, strong position to paddle from. And then just doing, 2 to 3 minute intervals of that paddling position to really build up that power so that they can take it into the surf. This next surfer was taking off perfectly. However, their positioning, in particular their feet positioning and weight distribution, was a little bit off. See if you can notice what I'm talking about. The surfer takes off, and as we see, we're seeing too much of the lower side of the board. That essentially is going to act as a inhibitor to any sort of speed cultivation on a wave. What we're seeing here is essentially a stall happening where the speed is going to be diminished because there is too much surface area of the bottom of the board against the water. So we see it once again here, this very kicked back, leaning back position is not going to be good for actually generating forward momentum on a wave. And that's essentially what everything comes down to, is our generation or management of speed. This is only going to allow short rides and not generally a nice, smooth, flowing motion on a wave. A lot of surfers, I think, do this purely because they feel more in control with their back foot more engaged because it is over the fins and it allows us to direct the surfboard. But excessively, that's going to actually cause us to lose speed. But with some pretty simple corrections, we can make a big difference. You see that position right there that the surfer actually had to manually adjust into to break the habit, which is fine initially, results in a much stronger surfing position. We see here the body is nice and low, the weight is distributed almost equally, with the back foot being slightly more active. But overall, the surfer's body is more forward, meaning we're going to get more momentum as we go down the face of the wave, and we're going to see more generation of speed. If we look at the difference there, that's quite significant. We see water being sprayed out to the side in the first one, and we see what is going to be a diminished speed and momentum. And then on the right, we see a much better surfer's position as the surfer leans forward and commits to the wave. The take-home message there is to commit to the wave. I don't mean lean forward to the point of nosediving. I mean fully embracing the natural steepness of the wave and using that to your advantage. The more we lean back, the more we hesitate, the riskier it is and the less effective we're going to be on that wave. So commit fully every time you take off. This next thing that I want to talk about is to do with speed generation. This one clip will show you how an intellectual knowledge of what to do is important, but until you kinesthetically learn how to generate speed, it's going to be very difficult to do. So what we see in this example is the surfer just uses predominantly their lower body and a little bit of the arms to produce the speed generation movement. What we need, though, is more body involved, particularly the upper torso. So what we see is an ineffective speed pump. So we see the body staying compressed in essentially the same position. We're trying to get the board up here to the top of the wave so that we can soak up the power that it has to offer and then go back down to spend that power or speed. And that's only going to occur when we actually extend the upper body as well. This is something really important that I've spoken about a lot in different videos, and that is undulating and compressing and extending the body, mostly from the hips. The hips tend to control this as they are the link that connects the lower body and the upper body. So it's really important for those things to be connected, and you can practice this by doing simple things such as skateboarding, but also just being really conscious of it when you're surfing. Once you get that feeling, You'll find that flow tends to occur as you flow up the wave and then down, and your body tends to compress up and then down, and your legs are working in sync. It's very easy to jump into that mode straight away. So once you learn it kinesthetically, that's going to be super important. So the takeaway from this is to practice your speed generation, and then remember the feeling once you get it kinesthetically, which means you'll remember how it feels to actually generate that movement. Well, that's it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure you join me on Instagram at Kale's Broccoli. Make sure you check out my other surfing tutorial channel at Kale's Broccoli here on YouTube as well. I'm looking forward to this new season with you. Let me know what else you guys want to see here on How to Rip. I'm going to be still checking in here and moving forward. You guys can comment below and suggest some topics or what you're struggling with. I look forward to hearing from you. Cheers, guys. I'll see you later.